I'm glad you are there at the TV. I'm Citizen Jones Hussein. Now, today on the program, ECOWAS orders activation of military force against Niger Republic as junta threatens to kill President Bazoum, former President Bazoum, if military intervenes. I'm hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, BKO. I greet you, Bijide. Good evening.
Good evening.
And we are joined by Dare Odufo. Dare, I greet you too.
A pleasure.
So the team is ready. I hope you are. Now let's go. You know, self-confidence plays a key role in all of our lives, if you see what I mean. Whether we are dealing with overcoming the awkwardness of adulthood, middle life crisis, or low esteem in old age. Longevity itself requires sustaining a healthy heart. For Pa Akintola Williams, attaining the age of 104 years is not just a milestone, but if you ask me, an uncommon extension of the fear of death. President Bola Tinubu rejoiced with the doyen of accounting profession in Nigeria, nay Africa, noting that his vision and resilience have altered the history of Nigeria by establishing the first indigenous accounting firm in Africa, Akintola Williams and Company, in 1952. He's seen it all. Jide, he has seen it all. What is there to see again?
Yes, he has seen 99.9. So who is
100? Let 100 come.
So he has even passed 100 now, as you can see.
Yeah.
So he has passed 100, and he wants to conquer 200 if the Lord carries. So he's an unusual man, a man of history. You can imagine a man who, along with the late Awolowo, formed the Egbe Omodua, which fought for independence, which metamorphosed into the Action Group, a political party of that era. He's still alive, still kicking, and no doubt about it, he's a man of many firsts. When you talk about ICANN and other accounting firms in our country, played his part in bringing them forth. So we really thank God for his life.
Yeah.
It's an exemplary life. This is the definition of an exemplary life. 104 years and counting. Many people were born just yesterday and they are gone. Many people were born today after a few minutes of seeing life.
You hear something crazy as if you attain 70 years in Nigeria, you don't try.
Yes, because what is our life expectancy? It's below 70. These days, because of the social problems here and there, it's difficult to live long.
Yeah.
But here we are talking about a man at 104 years. I mean, it's a rarity to cross that line. And we pray that God will continue to look after him the best way that he can.
To think that this same Pa Williams was the elder brother of late Rotimi Williams.
Timidilo.
He comes from a family of influential men.
Yes, influential and historical, I would say. These are people who made their marks in their various endeavors. Talking about Akintola, he has only added this old age to his many first. He's almost he must be one of the oldest people around this country today.
Yeah.
And you have so many things to remember him for, even when he's still alive and kicking. He's the oldest grammarian alive today. And by that I mean, he attended CMS Grammar School, an old boy as we call ourselves, and he's currently the oldest. And you'll be surprised that he is the oldest of the old boys. So, and he, at that age, he's still active in a way. He could still discuss with you, can still pick issues, he can still remember incidents. And I remember a recent visit by the old boys Old Grammarian
You are the old
Society.
boy.
I'm an old boy. I'm the national PRO of the Old
He
Grammarian
is taking
Society.
notes.
Okay, so, and sincerely, during that visit, I saw a man who is still very much,
All right.
in charge of himself. Very much alive for 104. You see, these are the kind of things you used to pray. You know, those aggressive prayers Christians pray. When you see things like this, you begin to ask God for such favors. Because
at this point, I want to muster a Yoruba. I think I picked along the way. Baba, Kamari, Balododun. Let's see you every year. Okay. To our next story, you know, for the proscribed separatist group, the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, these are not the best of times. The Enugu State Police Command said it killed 3 operatives of the Eastern Security Network, ESN, in Igboeze North, local government area of Enugu State. Some weapons were recovered too. The State Commissioner of Police, Ahmed Amani, reaffirmed the police's unwavering commitment to weed out unrepentant criminals in the state. Now, considering that IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu had ordered an end to the senseless sit-at-home exercise, one expects the days ahead, especially for the unknown gunmen, to be numbered, Dari.
Well, we all listened to the report about what Kanu has said about IPOB and ESA. But it still bothers one that some people somewhere will listen to someone else, especially when the instructions being given are contrary to the claims of IPOB itself that it is fighting for the people of the southeast in Nigeria. Something that destroys their economy, a directive that makes them less active on particular days. So much so that somebody decided that for the next 2 weeks or so, there must be no economic activity. And then the leader or founder of the group, as it were, said, look, this is not why we were formed. This is not the way we should go. I've proscribed sit-at-homes. I've outlawed incidents where you prevent people from carrying out their lawful engagement. But I think it behoves on the governors of the states in the southeast and the federal government to now go all out to ensure that we see an end to this lawlessness. It is sheer lawlessness.
Yeah.
And if it is not proscribed now, if it is not ended now, we'll see such thing rearing its head in other parts. Already I read a report that some pro-Biafra groups somewhere in the south are also clamoring for similar actions on the part of their government.
That's a little curious because the South had distanced
itself from. But now some people gathered themselves claiming to be pro-Biafra agitators coming from the South.
I dare say they are doing so on the ground.
Well, it is because we have not been able to end the activities of these ones in the southeast. That's why others are towing the same line.
It can only mean that Kanu is losing control as leader, or that an unseen hand is at play.
You mean if
the sit-at-home and what have you, vis-a-vis the story we're talking about?
They didn't say they were killed while trying to enforce sit-at-home.
Yeah.
IPOB still exists. Let's not deceive ourselves. IPOB still exists. ESN still exists. So Kanu did not say that it was disbanding IPOB. Kanu did not even say anything about ESN. What he said was that no one should force people to sit at home on Mondays anymore, and that no form of sit at home should happen, because in the past, IPOB, which instituted that strain of civil disobedience in the first place came out to say it should happen only on days that Kanu is brought to court. But the cultists and other outlaws who hijacked the whole thing would not listen. So on Mondays, they will come out to beat up people, to shoot people who choose to go to work. Now, Kanu has said that, IPOB has said, Mondays are now economic empowerment days in the Southeast. Those are days when people who are educationally disadvantaged should be helped. You know, the IPOB also admitted that sit-at-home had destroyed the economy of the Southeast. And that there was a need for the Southeast to recover from the setback. So, for now, Kanu has nothing to do with sit-at-home. If anybody is enforcing sit-at-home, that person is not doing it at the instance of Nnamdi Kanu or a Mapafu or anybody in IPOB. One fellow sits in Finland the whole week. Sometimes he will say, okay, there will be curfew in this particular place. And you are thousands of kilometers away. You work, you earn your living over there, you are living a life of pleasure and luxury, but you are telling our people to not work,
putting them into
to not work
misery
on the most important day of the week. Even in these difficult times, those who are working, it's like they are not working. You are telling people not to work. So we have issues to deal with in the Southeast. The insecurity, the killing of people. People came home for December. Some of them never got the opportunity to go back. Some of them left Lagos here and they never came back. They were either kidnapped and killed while in captivity or shot at while trying to flee from kidnappers. So there's a need to address the problem of insecurity in the Southeast. And I'm happy the current service chiefs, especially the Chief of Army Staff, who used to be a GOC in Enugu himself.
82 Division.
Yes, he has made it clear that, look, we are going to secure our people the best way that we can. The people of the Southeast, hardworking, enterprising, and inventive people of the Southeast, they don't deserve to be forced to sit at home when they want to work. Everyone knows now that Akwa Ibom, your state, is a big beneficiary of the carnage that is going on in the Southeast, because the Igbo man prefers to open his container on Monday morning because you won't let him do that. You will rather divert the cargo to Akwa Ibom state. Akwa Ibom people, Asaba in Delta state, they're spitting distance away from Anambra. They are the ones enjoying their own economies are doing better now because of the activities of these brigands. So it has to stop. It's not a case of we not liking people of the Southeast or focusing too much. As long as there's insecurity in the Southeast, we'll focus on it. When we had problems in Borno State and all that, we were focusing on it. Today, there is a lot of improvement in Borno State. There's nothing to report. You won't go and invent a story that didn't happen. There were times when they were overrunning military bases. We were talking about it. Even sometimes the army will claim that they actually repair those ones. A lot of lies at the time. But today, we know that those things are not happening anymore. So that's the way it should be. The people of the Southeast deserve to be properly looked after by way of security.
That one becomes, shall I say, dispirited when somebody somewhere, as Jide said a while back, in faraway Finland, belching orders and the orders being believed here. As I said earlier, it means the IPOB commander here, so to speak, is losing touch, or I don't know, maybe.
I think it's just a case of a fifth columnist, who probably didn't have his way within the system. The IPOB, as it were, trying to create some dissidents who he now uses to disobey even the orders of the man he claimed to be.
I hear they are reaping benefits.
In a way, yes, there would be. You can't tell me that he chose to put everybody in the Southeast in such a situation without certain benefits coming to him for it, or to others like him. You see, it's obvious that while there are sincere agitators, let us not be concerned now about the rights and wrongs of what IPOB, KANU, ESN stands for. Let us look at them as agitators who felt there is a cause to agitate for. There are sincere agitators, and there are those who are just opportunists coming to look at the agitation and others and seeing where they could, reap. That's the way I see a man like the man in Finland who sits there. I'm sure he goes to his own work on Mondays, and when he feels like enjoying himself, he goes out to enjoy himself on Mondays. And then there are days he will say, for example, there are reports that the NYSC camp in the Southeast had to close earlier than others because of the 2 weeks sit-at-home order or something. They had to close earlier. And those who stayed back for one reason or the other had to wait till that there was some form of calmness before they could move. See, it goes beyond the people of the Southeast at such time. Other Nigerians. And that's why I agree with BKO that as long as there is insecurity in the Southeast, it is our business to talk about it. Yeah. Because those who also want to do business with Southeasterners are disturbed by this kind of order. So we should understand the fact that agitation, for whatever cause, should not deprive people of their freedom. Yeah. When you deprive people of their freedom, you are telling them that you are no longer fighting for them and not for their interest. And that's the way it's looking now.
Well, even the way he's going about it by labeling Nnamdi Kanu's handwritten letter as something instigated by the security forces or something authored by the security forces, by insisting that he needed an eyeball to eyeball
before he can
interface with Nnamdi Kanu. For someone is in detention, you are asking that you should have an eyeball to eyeball conversation with him in Finland. You didn't even say Nigeria because you are not prepared to come down here. You know, how is that practical? Why is that going to happen? Who will put Nnamdi Kanu in a plane to take him to you so that you can then talk to him? I mean, it's silly to think like this.
A Zoom meeting?
No, he was just trying to make things difficult. Yes. He is not prepared to give up the battle until our people on their own, energized by Nnamdi Kanu's decision, go out and say, look, whatever happens, we want to continue to live our lives. And which will put him to shame, because once he's resisted in this end game, once he gets resisted, he will slip into obscurity. Nobody will talk about him anymore.
Quickly, just before we go, how about the talk about reaching out to the government of Finland to do something about the situation?
Yes, you know, the National Assembly told government to do that, advised government to do that, and should actually be arrested. But I believe that when the ministers are inaugurated and everyone gets his portfolio, hopefully we'll find an experienced maybe former ambassador or something who will man that ministry, and that person will then take it upon himself. We want to see him take it up as a project, as his own project, to ensure that the government of Finland helps us to lock this guy away.
Checkmate him.
We are not saying they should bring him here. He doesn't have to. Once you can prove that these are his activities, subversive activities and all that, he can be tried over there, because it is from there that he's committing those offenses. So it can actually be tried over there, because, you know, even that matter of jurisdiction came during Nnamdi Kanu's trial here. That all of what you are saying is based there. So why did you assume jurisdiction over his matter? After all, he committed the offense over there. You know, they argued that in court. So I'm saying that Finland does not have to even send him here, because a lot of those countries, you cannot get someone extradited unless you go through a proper extradition trial, which can be time consuming. But we are saying you can even help us put him on trial there and lock him away so that our people can have the peace that they deserve.
Put simply, checkmate him and end this rubbish. Okay, we go to our next story. You know, the flood situation across the country, to say the least, is worsening by the day. Reports from the country's capital, Abuja, Edo, Ekiti, and 16 other states says the varying degrees of flooding have wreaked havoc in these centers. The general outlook shows that as many as 178 local government areas nationwide fall within the high flood risk areas. Aren't we in trouble here today?
I think we are, because last year when we faced one of our worst flood disasters ever, you were here and we talked about what we should have done that we were not doing. And I remember making the point that, look, if we fail to do what we are supposed to do, we'll be confronted by this problem even next year. Man, by his actions, asks for global warming. What are the remedial steps that we are taking to address this problem? People are felling trees anyhow. These trees are supposed to be our first bulwark or boulders against this kind of natural disasters. But we continue to fell trees anyhow without knowing that those actions have consequences. Now, people live in flood-prone areas. People live in coastal areas. No effort is being made to protect them. Build embankments that will ensure that the water is kept at bay. No such thing is being done. The same communities that were flooded last year and people lost farmlands. One of the reasons food is very expensive these days has to do with the fact that a lot of people did not even get to the point of harvesting their crops before the flood waters came. Many people lost big rice farms. Olam in Nasarawa State. Olam is a major rice producer in our country. Major, one of the best three, biggest three. They lost their rice farm in Nasarawa State. Millions of dollars lost in the process to flood. What have we done? There are mitigating steps that countries take. We are not taking those steps. They will warn, we will not do anything. They will alert us that this is coming. We will wait until it comes. Just the question is, why are we behaving in this manner? So when we behave in this manner, we are asking for trouble. Flood to simply overrun us, and then we'll start complaining, we'll say it's God that brought it. There are steps that you must take. Look at flood. This is the heart of town. This is not a river. It's in the heart of town. Flood destroy people's homes, destroy their life investment, means of livelihood, and nothing is done. I know someone in Taraba State that lost his rice farm, valued at more than 60 million. Everything just gone. Some were forced to harvest, completely submerged. Some were forced to harvest their crops before the due date, just so that they will not lose completely. But who is going to buy something that you harvested before the due date?
Yeah.
So we are not helping ourselves at all. If you look at the way it's been analyzed here, 20 states, 46 local governments have been hit so far. But the general outlook shows that 178 local governments fall within the high flood risk areas, spreading over 32 local governments and the 32 states and the FCT. So, if from what we see, it is clear that this problem is approaching the level of last year. Already, people in Adamawa State, they are being told relocate.
Okay. All right. Dari, I'll come to you, but then let's make some money. We'll go on a commercial break. We should be back shortly. Please stay with us.
Unwrap joy, unleash taste.
Like many things in life, making great music is a process. And a key part of that is the right data and the data that helps you understand what needs to be done and how to do it and what sound will connect with listeners.
No, bring it up. Let's go right away,
Whatever aspect of life you're into, enjoy the journey. 9 Mobile's got you covered.
Dial star 301 hash now.
9 Mobile.
In today's world, our lifestyle, both at work and at play, depends on connectivity. Our connectivity depends on the devices that make it possible, and these devices depend on electric power. When power fails, our life shrinks, our work drops, and our joy dips. JRB Solar Energy Systems are here to ensure that we enjoy uninterruptible power, uninterruptible joy. Whether you're running a business, an institution, or just a home you return daily to rest, JRB has got you covered. No project is too big for our super digital inverters, long-lasting batteries, and efficient solar panels. Go. Dream on. Change your world. JRB solar inverters, batteries, solar panels, solar streetlights, and more. Telephone 0906 752 1111. Email sales@jrbsolar.com. With JRB, the sun's gonna shine on everything you do.
Okay, folks, welcome back. We're still talking flood plan and flooding in Nigeria. Dari, we cannot but talk about Europe and America now. We know what's going on there. Extreme weather and, like in China, flash floods and so on and so on. Our people appear, as Jide said, to be unduly stubborn. We won't act when it is time. We wait for a miracle.
Yeah, we always wait for a miracle. And this has to do with both our rulers and those of us that are ruling. Both sides don't act until... I tell you, for months in Lagos State, some areas, people have been told, you need to vacate those places.
Yeah.
This flood is coming. And they waited until the flood came. That's an example.
And then they start shouting government.
Then they start shouting government. That's an example of people who won't act until the problems are here. Then talking about government, the authorities, year in, year out, on this table, I wonder if all we have is an agency that reacts to emergencies. What happens after the emergency is here and NEMA moved in and the people are taken to settlements or what do you call it?
IDPs.
The IDPs. What happened afterwards to what caused that situation? Don't we have a system, an agency, or something that takes care, that ensures that that thing doesn't happen again. Every year, we arose NEMA to tackle flooding. Only for us to wait till another year, then another set of floodings. It's funny. These are things we need to look into. And you'll be surprised that these same areas are affected year in, year out. Is there nothing we can do to ensure that people's properties, lives, farms are saved? There are places you know that, oh, this flooding is actually caused by lack of drainages.
Yeah.
Then 6 years running, the same flooding caused by lack of drainages hits people, destroy their farms, destroy their homes, even kill people.
And
then we bring in NEMA every time.
You know that when you mess around, nature punish you.
Because nature, for example, water will find its own course.
Oh, yeah.
No matter how hard you try. So except where you do what you ought to do. BKO spoke about what we have done to nature itself. We fell trees, we clear natural forests for housing and for other projects, yet we have no alternative plan to help nature help us. When we don't help nature to help us, we are left at its mercy.
Yeah.
And that's when we have incidents like flooding. I think by now, the governments of those perennial states that are more affected, porous to this flooding, should have some form of plans. We hear about ecological funds and all this year in, year out. We see provisions in our budgets year in, year out. What have we been doing with these monies and plans? It's high time we think beyond managing emergencies. We must prevent emergencies. We must find a way of preventing.
Prevention is better than cure and cheaper than cure. Jide, are we in trouble?
If we keep behaving the way we are behaving, then
we're asking for trouble.
Something big will come our way. We just have to change our ways. What is the essence of the ecological fund, for example?
To mitigate.
If we cannot, there are some steps that are permanent that you can take. Ogunpa, in 1980, I remember in the summer of 1980, Ogunpa killed so many people. It rained that day. It was a Saturday. Was it a Saturday or Sunday? I'm trying to remember. Yes, I think it was a Sunday. And he killed so many people. I was in Ibadan. That is because I had doctor's appointment at UCH back then. And he killed so many people. What did we do? The channelization scheme, they had to now proceed. The government of Bola Ige had to now proceed with the channelization scheme that we had delayed in a dangerous manner. So they had to proceed with it. Today, since then, Ogunpa has not killed people like that time. But if we had refused to do anything, I'm sure every year Ogunpa will have been killing people just that way. So there are steps that can be taken to protect our shorelines, for example. At least, to ensure that flood waters from rivers having run their banks do not get into our communities to destroy people's homes. Look at a place like Kogi, for example, Lokoja. Because Lokoja is where the River Niger and River Benue
meet.
Yes. The problem of flooding was way bigger in Kogi State than other places. Look at Bayelsa. Bayelsa is like the gateway to the Atlantic in our country. You saw how it killed so many people. It's on record that floods killed about 655 people last year. And that's official figure. So you and I know that it's usually higher. So we just have to take steps where the federal government needs to help states. They need to help those states that cannot find the funding to protect their people against this yearly.
Okay then. Let's go to our last story, but not before asking the meteorologists to keep doing their job. Tell us as it is. All right then. You know, these are certainly times that challenge men's souls. The army takeover of government in Niger Republic challenges not just the West African region, but the whole continent, and if you like, the world at large. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, leaders ordered the activation and deployment of a regional standby force to restore constitutional order in the coup-hit country. But the coup leaders have threatened to kill the deposed president, Mohamed Bazoum, if neighboring countries attempt any military intervention. Are we in a fix, Dari?
In fact, it's a situation that requires a lot of tact on the part of African leaders. I'll put it that way. This is beyond the
rhetorics.
And it's not about rhetorics.
It's not beyond Ashwaju.
It's no. People, especially back home here, just see an Ashwaju situation, and I wonder if they really understand what this means. You see, it is like being between the devil
and the deep blue sea. And the cynic says, why not jump into the deep?
You have to think twice. And look at this situation where we found ourselves. People say ECOWAS or African leaders should not think of fighting a war to restore democracy in Niger. I agree with them that we actually don't need a war now. But what's the alternative? Allow those people have their way? That endangers the democracy in all other countries. The moment nothing is done and the Nigerian coupists have their way, they will encourage others in other countries to strangle democracy.
You know, before Niger, there were five.
There was
Niger is the sixth.
Yes. Now. Mali.
Burkina
Faso. And the likes. Sudan. Now we have Niger. It is if something is not done to send that clear message that military rule is no longer fashionable, neither is it acceptable, nor will it be allowed to stay anywhere in Africa, then we have only invited a return to the dark days of goggled generals. And you know what that means? The democracies in most African countries are nascent, struggling, still in the works. And no matter what we say, I keep saying that the worst form of democracy is better than any military rule.
Larry, I've heard that 1,001 times, but let me tease Jide.
Okay.
Jide, but can we counterbalance what he has said against the fact that leadership is still a problem in Africa?
Leadership is a problem in Africa, not just in Africa. But do the generals, do the coupists represent a refreshing breath of air? The answer is no. In all of the places where these brigands have taken power, there's no evidence of improvement. What they keep, and I can understand why West African leaders are angry, because what these guys will tell you is, oh, don't worry, we are going to put a transition to a civilian rule in place and all that. And the next thing he wants to contest.
Wants to transmute.
Yes, yes. That's what they do. How many of them leave? Former chief of army staff in Chad. He became president. He became a cult hero in his country when he led that that war against Libyan forces.
Yeah.
And he outflanked Gaddafi's men. And he became a hero in his country.
I think he was there for up to 30 years.
30 years plus. 30 years plus. Then his son, after he was murdered, his son took over, and his son promised a short transition.
And he's still there.
You remind me quickly of Togo.
Is it a short transition now?
Where the son succeeded the father.
Yes. Now, at the time the son succeeded the father had literally become a civilian president. The person who succeeded him is not a military leader. Now, what we are saying is, I said a military
man in uniform.
When he died, he was succeeded by another person in uniform who promised a short transition. What is going on in Chad now? Do we even call it a transition? So it is like taking people for a ride. The leader of the coup in Niger had been commander of the gas brigade for 12 years. Bazoum's offense was that he tried to remove him. And then he moved against the man. Where in the world do you have the commander of the gas brigade for that long? Even Jogarba didn't last that long. And he's probably the most colorful gas brigade commander in our history. At least I don't know anyone more. He was the one who announced the coup that removed his boss.
Yeah, Gowon.
When Gowon was busy attending an
Addis Ababa,
OAU meeting, So, gas brigade commander, realizing that he was going to lose his position, decided to plan a coup. This same man was part of the ECOWAS team in Gambia. An ECOWAS team given the mandate of ensuring that the democracy is in place. Now, he's suddenly taking over as military ruler in his country. He said, Bazoum is corrupt, this and that. If he's corrupt, if Bazoum was the target, why did you tamper with the National Assembly? I mean, you see, it's unfortunate that we have a situation like this. Nobody wants war. But our people are not looking at what these guys have done. All they are after is, Tinubu has come again. Why did Tinubu do this? Tinubu is not ECOWAS. In fact, this matter, ECOWAS is trying to get the AU involved now so that the AU can adopt some of the resolutions of ECOWAS. And once AU adopts the resolution of ECOWAS, AU can even move from there and get the United Nations involved. I mean, these guys they don't have capacity. The people talking about war, they don't have capacity. They were the ones saying that they've closed airspace, which airspace that you cannot defend. You don't have air defenses. You are now complaining that France entered your airspace. Do you have air defense?
But there's this talk about big boys waiting in the wings to strike, to come into the picture.
Which big boys? You mean
Russia and so on, China?
Some of these things are just meant to blackmail us. They talk about Wagner.
Yeah.
Who has seen Wagner's men on ground? People just say all kinds of. Who has seen them on ground in Niger? Niger is a failed state, a proper failed state. Even before these people took over, most parts of Niger, nobody is in charge.
All right.
That's my concern.
Let's make some more money. We're going on another commercial break. Please stay with us. We are not done yet.
Be the white card.
I'm your big fan too.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it, brother.
Me gun myself, I'm a rapper.
Is that so?
Hey, me lemon, any day, any weather. And I'm chilling with my main guy, Feda.
Alpha, network problem.
Yes, what got me?
Let me turn on my hotspot.
It have connected.
You hop on 9 Mobile confirm data. You can't be out here stranded in these streets with this guy.
When you're on 9 confirm from 9 Mobile, you get a super gift of 1,000 naira just for joining the network. 900% bonus on every recharge. 100% data bonus for 6 months and double data bonus on your first recharge of the month.
Get a new SIM or dial *1 for 100 hash now.
9 Mobile.
All right, welcome back. We're still talking Chad. Dari, let me tease you a little. Have you noticed that almost all the 6 countries in Africa ruled by khaki boys are Francophone countries, former Francophone countries, if you understand? Does it tell you anything?
Oh, well, you see, there is no form of colonialism that is good. No memory of how we were ruled forcefully is interesting. So whether it's Francophone or by Anglophone lords, it's the same thing. However, I think it has to do with the orientations of the military boys in these countries and the readiness of the people to resist. Because if you look at, let's take a look at these countries. Look at Sudan. Currently, what you have is a war situation between 2 rival brigands, as BK will call them. Then go to Burkina Faso. It has been from one coup to the other. And from way back in the 70s, every coup in Burkina Faso attracts shares from the people.
Just like Niger?
Just like the one in Niger. There has not been any organized resistance to coupists in these countries. It's unlike what happened in other West African or African countries.
That the Nigerians, for instance, should have resisted.
There should have been some form, until recently when one of the former warlords says...
in Sudan, the people rose against...
But in Sudan...
the military regime, they lost their lives. But those guys still... They
are still protesting. And that's why you find a seemingly fairer situation is that we are possibly, with the people's continued resistance, these warlords, we know they are not welcome.
Yeah.
But if we have seen the same situation in Burkina Faso, let's not talk about Mali, a country I would say became war weary. And the people are like, look, whatever happens, let's just have peace. Maybe that explains what happened in... but you can look at Gambia. When the former president tried to lord it over people, they rose in support of Adama, and we saw what happened. So gradually, the people of these Francophone countries will realize the need to take their destiny in their own hands. Niger will be an example that it will be beyond what you do with your people. And that's why if it takes some form of military action to tell these khaki boys in Nigeria that we will not allow this to happen anywhere in Africa again, we better do it now. Because it is like a season film. It is just moving from one place to the other.
Yeah.
We have seen it happen in too many countries in West Africa. And it is high time we say it won't go further.
Enough is
enough.
Too much.
And the people can only be helped by the external forces. And that is why, rather than this condemnation from some funny quarters, Ashwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu, our own president, should be encouraged to continue the leadership role he's playing over this matter.
No, there are people, people are making it look like it's a one-man resolution.
As if he's declaring war all by himself.
It's not ECOWAS made the resolution. I do not even think that that our president is more concerned about this matter than the Togolese president.
Yes.
There are some West African countries who feel genuinely afraid
And this
that
is
this
too
could
close
get to them.
home.
I don't think our president has that fear that military could take over here. But some of those smaller countries, this West Coast, they are really, really worried. And that's why they are standing up to this.
Yeah.
You can see the Senegalese president, he does not want what has happened. The Togolese president. So it's not Tinubu alone
That is up
who
against
hates what has happened and wants to resist
So what do you
it.
expect to happen next?
No, the president has prioritized dialogue. And that's why you see when Sanusi went to that place, he came back. His was a solo mission.
Yeah.
But he came back and briefed the president about what transpired. Just like Henry Kissinger, who went to China.
Yeah.
You know?
To broker.
Yes, probably the greatest diplomat of his generation. And you saw what he did in that place, trying to bring China and the US together as friends. So some of these solo moves can work. I believe it can work. I believe that Nigeria as a country should be able to exert maximum influence on Niger Republic, because there is a country heavily dependent on Nigeria. I've been told that even some of their leaders, they will give them house in Abuja. They have houses in Abuja. The Nigerian government, out of playing the big border role, gave them. You know, sometimes when they can't even pay workers' salary, Nigeria has stepped forward to give them money. Nigeria bought vehicles for them, patrol vehicles. Recently. President Buhari bought. So this is a country that we spend so much on. But Nigeria is a country that countries that we have helped, increasingly ridicule us, increasingly show disrespect. Some of those frontline states that we helped back then, today they have no regard for us. ECOWAS, we spent more than $15 billion on Sierra Leone and Liberia. We lost more than 20,000 troops. Today, how much respect do they have for us? You know, that's why for me, I don't even want I don't want us to put boots on ground in that place. I expect that the sanctions can work. What I don't want to see is hearing some Nigerian leaders or some clerics or some traditional ruler telling us that we should not apply sanctions. So what do you want us to do? To allow people to simply trample on democracy the way they like? You said they should not go, launch military attack. Okay, we agree. Well, you are even saying now that they should not impose sanctions. What sort of thing is that? That's what some people are saying.
But the need to heighten diplomacy is important here. Yeah. Because I'm told that when diplomacy fails, war...
Well, that's why the president has made it clear that, look, our priority is negotiation. And when you talk about negotiation, it takes different forms. Applying sanction where necessary is part of negotiation. Look, if you don't do what we want, we'll pull this back.
That's it.
Do this and we'll give you this. Oh, we are tightening the nose. This is what we want you to do and we're losing it a bit. So before it goes into what we can call open warfare or military action, many steps will have been taken. I am very, very optimistic that it won't get to that, because I do not see the Nigerian coupists as people who can go all the way. I am praying.
We've seen leaders who threatened, if you come in here, we'll deal with you. You will bath with your blood.
And then
before the Gulf War, Saddam
was everywhere.
All kinds of threats.
What happened? It was an easy ride.
They eventually fished him out of edge. When they eventually fished him out of the sewage tank where he was hiding, he was begging the American Marines, please tell President Bush I'm ready for negotiation. Please, don't take me away. He was begging. He was hiding inside a sewage pit. You know, people that will say, this very stubborn leader. It's because they've not seen real war. When war is brought, let me just end in a few seconds. When war is brought to your door, you know what war means.
All right, that's where we apply the brakes. You know, our business is to mold opinion, allow decision makers to take heed. We want to thank BKO for coming.
Thanks.
Dari, many thanks. Enjoy your weekend.
It's my pleasure.
All right. That will just about do it for the show. If you missed any part of this edition, join us later tonight at 11. And of course, on Sunday, we expand the field for you from 1:30 to 3:30. Just to also add, we are on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Citizen Jones Hussein. Bye-bye now.
Following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. Are you worried about the safety and security of your home at night? Do you wish to know when intruders come close to your home? Or do you want to protect what matters to your family from anywhere at any time? What if there was a convenient, affordable way to keep surveillance on your home without having to